Greenland. I've heard about it since I was a child. People often told me the vast Arctic island belonged to us. But Greenlandic people call it Kalalit Nunat, land of the people. I grew up between France and Denmark. I've always been proud of that culture. But I knew nothing about Greenland, a Danish territory, because it was rarely or poorly talked about. Then, a few years ago, one word broke that silence. Spiralkampagne. The spiral campaign. A revelation that, starting in the 1960s, thousands of Inuit girls and women were fitted with IUDs by Danish doctors. Often, this contraceptive was forced on them. To understand what history has kept in the shadows, I set out to meet these women.
Østerport. Her kan du skifte til bus.
But how do you ask them to share their stories with you when you come from the side of the oppressor? And is it even possible to repair history? Henriette is the first Greenlandic woman I meet. She's lived in Copenhagen for over 40 years.
This is my village. It's where I had my confirmation when I was 14.
You were 14 here?
Yeah.
She was just a child when she received her first IUD.
I come from a small place called Kukurtarswatsiat. I grew up close to nature and have many lovely and cherished memories. But I also have many memories that aren't so pleasant. I was just a child who was 13 years old. We lived together in a boarding school for Greenlandic elite children. One day they told us we had to go to the hospital. There we got something inserted that is called a spiral. We didn't really understand what it was, but we were used to doing what we were told. Then we were called into the doctor one by one, and when the girls went out, they were crying. My parents never gave consent for anything.
Henriette never gave consent either. She didn't understand what was happening to her. Her body rejected the IUD, but the doctors kept pushing. In total, she had 9 IUDs inserted during adolescence.
The doctors were inserting spirals that were made for women who had already given birth. At our age, our uterus was this small, and the spiral was too big for our uterus. So it was pushed up, and that was very painful. I have anger, I have shame, I have guilt and sorrow. Is it my fault that I got a spiral inserted? And that I had to spread my legs to a man who did not respect me? That is shameful. I call this a rape.
Despite the pain and the physical damage, Henriette eventually became pregnant. But not every Greenlandic woman was that fortunate. Danish doctors were able to operate this way because Greenland became a Danish colony in 1721. For decades, Danish doctors managed public health in Greenland. Starting in the 1960s, they imposed contraceptives on young girls. In 1979, Greenland was granted home rule.
Så overrækker jeg dig Landstinget det originale eksemplar af loven om Grønlands hjemmestyre. Måtte det blive indledningen til en ny og lykkelig epoke i Grønlands historie.
But even after gaining autonomy, Danish doctors continued working in Greenland and continued forcing IUDs on young girls.
Her name is Arsugak. It means the loved one. See, the sun went to bed. Say good night, son. We waited for her for a long time.
Arnak adopted her daughter in 2021. As a teenager, while undergoing an abortion, an IUD was inserted into her uterus without her knowledge.
It was a Danish doctor who performed the procedure. I was about 15 at the time, and I only found out about the coil when I was about 20 or 21. During a scan, a doctor told me there was a coil lodged in my womb.
The contraceptive device caused unexplained pain and ultimately led to infertility.
It felt like I was being treated like an animal in a zoo, as if I had no voice, no say at all. Because I can't get pregnant or have children like other women. They stripped me of my identity as a woman. They killed a part of who I am.
To Arnak, it wasn't just a medical trauma. It was a form of Danish domination.
The reason why that Danish doctor put it inside me, it was about control. When they did that, something inside me broke. They acted like gods. What they did to the Greenlandic people is a disgrace. They had no right. I hate them for it. I can't accept it. I never will. Because of that, I carry a deep, burning anger. There's no room left in my heart for the Danes.
These stories are excruciating to hear and compel me to meet as many women as possible. I think I know where it is, but it would be very nice if you wanted to send me the address. All of them share similar stories with me. These IUDs were unsuitable for their young bodies. They didn't even know they had one, and therefore received no medical follow-up. As a result, repeated infections destroyed their reproductive systems and made them sterile. I sense the apprehension in their eyes when they share their pain with me, knowing I am a Danish woman. But I can see that they also want their message to be heard in Denmark. Margaret became sterile. She says it destroyed her marriage.
It was so hard to know that I could never be pregnant again. I cried so much.
Inger, also sterile, finally became a mother after she adopted 2 boys from Colombia, a journey she recounts in the book.
They treated us like dogs. The Danes never told us what they were going to do. And because of their plan, many women were left unable to have children.
The testimonies are damning for the doctors of the time. How do they justify the widespread use of these contraceptives? Between 1966 and 1970, Danish authorities fitted more than 4,500 women with IUDs. Henrik Hansen is the former chief medical officer of Greenland. For 2 years, he analyzed data related to these forced contraceptives.
We have many stories confirming that there were whole groups of young girls living in boarding schools who were brought to the hospital and had an IUD. It's very obvious that many of them didn't know what was going on. Those who were especially vulnerable were young girls who came out from the settlements, because at that time, when they got to 7th grade, they were moved to the nearest town.
This all happened during a period of profound upheaval in Greenland. After World War II, colonial power was increasingly frowned upon on the international stage. To ease pressure from the United Nations, Denmark decided to reclassify Greenland, not as a colony, but as a region. A new status that required Denmark to guarantee equal living standards for both Greenlanders and Danes. A period of large-scale modernization began.
De glade smils boplads med hårdtoppede eskimoer I dag en saga blot. I stedet møder man en ungdom ved skrivemaskiner, ekspedienter på postkontorer, veluddannede grønlandske kontorister.
Driven by a redemptive ideology and the conviction of doing the right thing, the Danish state invested in housing, schools, and hospitals. Health conditions eventually improved. As a result, Greenland's population began to grow rapidly.
Tuberculosis became under control. Housing became much better. Everything changed. There was a steep increase in fertility in combination with a low mortality.
For Copenhagen, this rapid population growth was seen as a threat.
In the end of the 60s and in the 70s, there were a lot of young Danish men working here, building new schools, building new houses. This, of course, led to a lot of unwanted pregnancies.
To slow Greenland's demographic expansion, Denmark deployed contraception on a massive scale.
We also have written stories where different doctors argued that it was a good thing that they prevented a lot of very young girls getting pregnant in a very early age.
Behind the humanist rhetoric, a policy of birth control appears to take shape.
The Danish politicians, they were aware of what's going on. We know what has been said in Parliament in these years, and they were fully aware of the developments.
I found archival footage of a Danish doctor. He explains how they fitted women with IUDs in Greenlandic villages.
Det kun et års tid siden, at vi startede for alvor med virkelig kampagne for at få oplagspiraler hos både dem, som havde en stor børneflok i forvejen, og også hos de helt unge, som man gerne vil beskytte mod, at de kommer for tidligt ind med en børneflok og bliver sat tilbage med henblik på uddannelsesmuligheder.
I København er der begejstring for spiralerne, for det virker. I tale til Folketinget i 1970 siger daværende grønlandsminister AC. AC Nordmann.
For several years now, Hedvig and her daughter have been combing through all the archives. They are determined to prove that the Danish government deliberately carried out a large-scale campaign of forced contraception.
You can just see the way the Danes were thinking. I'm really mad about how they did this. You can just see that it's systematically done. They have think it through. They made plans how to do it.
Hedvig was 14 years old when she was forced to have an IUD. She was one of the first victims to speak out in 2022.
We're the first ones to bring a case to the Supreme Court. If we win, other women will follow. We also need peace. We need to finally feel peace within ourselves.
I hope that it will go fast, because most of the women are old women, and that justice happens before they die. But also for me, I hope that justice will happen before I die.
For these women, time is of the essence. Today, 143 of them are filing a lawsuit against the Danish government. To take their fight to court, they've hired Mads Pramming. For the past 5 years, the lawyer has been building a case and gathering evidence. National archives, victim testimonies, press articles, medical records, and official reports from the Danish and Greenlandic governments. Nothing is overlooked. Were these isolated incidents or part of a much broader policy orchestrated from Copenhagen?
This is Denmark, right? And this is Greenland. And this is the number of pregnant women, right? Spiral campaign is introduced here in '66. Boom. You can see how dramatically it drops.
So this graph basically shows how
this is it cannot be any more official than this, since this is the annual report for Greenland from 1976 to 77 from the Ministry of Greenland. I mean, and the Ministry of Greenland is a Danish ministry, right?
Some even claim that without this campaign of forced contraception, the population of Greenland would be 150,000, 3 times what it is today. In official documents from the time, the authorities praised the merits of the policy.
Another one of these successful birth rates has dropped. And then happy, when results in Greenland are so impressive, it's been a big need for it. So that's a huge amount of official documents showing this was a campaign, how the campaign went, how many women got this inserted, and that's celebrating the great results, describing how energetically they forced this upon the Greenland people. Yeah, that's also where the numbers come from.
And so that makes kind of a very strong case for you.
The part of the case that's about whether there was a campaign or not, what the intent of the campaign was, who invented, why it was done. It's the strongest case I've ever had, and it's not going to be. It speaks for itself, right? Yeah.
This case was a wake-up call for Mats Pramming. Like many Danes, he grew up with the narrative of a positive colonization.
I was brought up, and everybody my age at least, and also I think my kids were brought up in being told that Greenland should be lucky that we came. That's the Danish culture. That's what you learn in school, right? And so I've been really shocked to see that no, it's really bad. We really did really bad things.
As Mats Pramming's investigation gathers more and more incriminating evidence against the Danish state, the case is suddenly thrust into the spotlight. On national television, the Prime Minister of Greenland makes a bombshell statement.
It is quite simply a genocide that has been carried out by the Danish government or the Danish state against the Greenlandic population, and I firmly believe there is a basis for saying that now.
His words are strikingly powerful. Yet, in Denmark, they barely resonate. Because in Danish society, a colonial mindset remains deeply rooted. While Denmark still struggles to confront its past, in Greenland, I discover a generation in search of answers. A generation eager to reclaim its identity and save its culture. Avyaya and her friends are finishing high school. Next year, they will leave Greenland to pursue their studies. But for them, imagining a future in Denmark is complicated. There, they've already experienced the sting of discrimination.
It's mostly degrading stuff.
Yeah, like that we're seen below lower class, or like that we're not on the same level as them, that we're less knowing.
The Danes.
Yeah, than the Danes, about how we're alcoholics.
And how does that make you feel?
How does it make us feel?
Yeah.
Overlooked, misunderstood, very...
degrading.
Yeah, very degrading. And honestly, it's just happened so much that it doesn't really affect me anymore.
Yeah, we just assume that they're gonna judge us.
Yeah, immediately when you walk in a room full of Danish people, you're gonna be like, okay, pull yourself together. They're gonna say some things that you won't like, so brace yourself for anything.
Yeah.
Avyaya is considering studying in Canada or in Alaska. But she's torn at the idea of moving so far from home. In her family, the legacy of colonization is still very present. Around her, so many women have been affected by the forced contraception campaign.
Just hearing how that the woman had been deprived of having their own children really sucks, because there's a want to have a family here because you want to pass on your knowledge, your wisdom. So the past knowledge can go on to the future. It can be lost forever if we don't have someone to pass it on to. And that's what's caused a lot of our culture loss. That's what's caused us to lose our identity, our culture, and just in general who we are.
Avyaya embodies the voice of a new generation. At the conference on the future of the country, she speaks up for Greenland's youth.
After my speech, I had the longest applaud in the whole speech. Yeah, in the whole audience.
Vi blev undertrykt, mistede meget af vores kultur. Vi tabte meget, selv mennesker. Det vi mangler her i Gardarslit nu nært er stolthed over for hvem vi er, som alle andre i de arktiske. Vi skal være stolte for at være nogle af dem, der kan overleve det mest barske natur, det vildeste terræn. Vi er jo Inuit, folket der kan alt. Vi skal bare tro på det. Venner.
December 2024. The fate of the island shifts dramatically. Freshly re-elected US President Donald Trump announces his intention to annex Greenland.
I have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it.
Just a few days later, his son lands in Nuuk, the capital, for a private visit, a show of force that cements the Trump family's ambitions.
We're really excited to be here. Thank you guys so much.
Following Donald Trump Jr.'s charm offensive, events in Greenland begin to move quickly. Denmark, long the undisputed authority in the region, finds itself deeply unsettled. And against all odds, this moment becomes a turning point for the Inuit.
I am thankful that Donald Trump Jr. came here. Otherwise, I don't think that the Danish government would take anything seriously.
The Prime Minister refuses to sell out Greenland. For him, allowing the Americans to take it over is out of the question.
You people, our society is going through something major right now. We are Greenlanders, we don't want to be Americans, and we don't want to be Danish. This is not the time to turn against one another. Now more than ever, it is important that we stand together. And let me be clear once again, the future of our country will be decided right here.
Denmark is now in a race against time to preserve its influence. Danish television rushes a team to Nuuk to organize an emergency public debate. This has never happened before.
I've got butterflies in my stomach. I'm actually incredibly nervous because this is a pretty ambitious setup. We've built a studio in Denmark that mirrors this one here. So this is Copenhagen, and this is Nuuk.
Denmark's main TV network pulled out all the stops for this program, which brings together top politicians, ministers, and civil society. In the audience, I meet up with Avyaya's whole family.
We, Inuit, have a voice. Even though it shakes, we still have a voice.
For the first time, Denmark is under pressure.
This is a debate on Greenland and Denmark's shared future, if we still have one.
All the sensitive issues are on the table, and among them, the campaign of forced contraception.
Henriette Bertelsen, it's a tough story you're sharing here, but now you're standing in front of a group of Danish politicians. What would you like to say to them?
I would like to ask them when they've decided to take responsibility for what they've done to me and to those over 4,000 women in relation to Spiral.
IUDs were inserted into children without consent. Isn't that obviously an indecent act that calls for an apology?
You could say it's inexcusable.
But will you say sorry?
I can't change history. It happened before my time. But it is a stain on us.
The women leave the debate frustrated. Henriette is disappointed too.
Well, that hurts that he can't apologize. At least apologize as an individual. And not like the state of Denmark. And that is what I need.
The Danish government violated many children's human rights by doing this, and they know it. There's official documents saying it's a campaign. So why not solve this some other way than going to court? Because in court, the government is forced to take a stand. That is, we did nothing wrong. What you're saying is a lie. They have to. It's ugly to fight this in court compared to, give an apology, say we want to make this good again. What can we do? I think that would be better.
Coveted by both Denmark and the United States, Greenland is resisting the grip of global powers. Together, Greenlanders want to redefine their future. Henriette gathers 3,000 demonstrators in front of the US Embassy in Copenhagen.
The people of Greenland have shown immense courage, wisdom, and resilience. All qualities we've developed over generations by surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Greenland has had a relationship with Denmark for over centuries. It's a relationship that now needs renewal, one that brings greater equality between Greenlanders and Danes.
We need time to heal and for us to be more independent. We need to be exploring our own culture and our own chances in life than being changed to them. Want to go through it again? Together? Yes. Exactly. It's like so. Juanito. Throat singing is a form of storytelling, and I like to still tell stories.
I can't do it. In Greenland, the Mother of the Sea is a powerful spirit. An ancient legend tells the story of a beautiful young woman betrayed by her father. He cut off her hands as she clung to his boat, leaving her to sink into the depths of the ocean.
Her hands then later turned into all kinds of animals: seal, birds, polar bears, wolves, hares, and then she became Mother of the Sea. The story goes that you have to take care of nature and not make her mad, or she'll take away what she has given.